Dear students, I welcome you in this practical class. And since you belong to Corona batch of MSc, and I have full sympathy with you that it is not possible for you to do the practical and get the practical teaching or hours for teaching. So practical through online, it is difficult, but you have no choice. So I may take one practical class about computation of seed rate for rice nursery. You know, in some cases, rice is transplanted and then you need to prepare nursery. You need to raise seedlings of rice. Then estimation of crop yield on the basis of yield attributes. The second part of the practical is that you will be given the values of the yield attributes and you will be calculating the yield of the crop. Then computation of grain yield efficiency index. So these are the three important part of today's practical, and I may finish in 20-25 minutes. So after that your class will be over. So now you know there are two kind of rice or methods of establishment of rice. One is direct seeded, other is transplanted rice. So in direct seeded rice, you just plant the seed, you do the sowing of the seeds directly into the soil. Maybe by broadcast method, by line sowing, or in dry condition or in wet conditions. You are doing direct seeding. But for transplanted rice, you are raising the seedling. Therefore, transplanted crop of rice requires seedlings for transplanting. So your seedlings need to be healthy and the nursery is to be raised. Nursery can be prepared by different methods. There are so many methods and modifications of growing rice nursery across the globe. But the most common method is wet seeding. The next is dry seeding, other is depot method and modified mat nursery method. So there are four important methods of raising seedlings of rice. These methods I will explain you separately in another class. So today you do not ask questions on these different methods of preparing nursery because I will take a class on the subject. So then suppose you are raising your nursery, then how much seed is required? You need to do calculation. So far area of nursery is concerned, normally it is 1/10 of the transplanting area. Suppose you are transplanting in 10 units, 10 units of land, then on 1 unit of that land will be enough to raise the nursery. So nursery area for transplanting on 1 hectare land would vary with the method of nursery. Generally, in dry nursery, in seeded, direct seeded nurseries, you need more area than the wet method or wet seeding. What should be the optimum seed rate to be used for preparation of nursery for 1 hectare transplanting? If you are given one numerical, then you are given certain data related to rice seed, and you are asked to calculate the seed requirement for nursery to grow 1 hectare or 2 hectare seedlings for 1 hectare area or 2 hectare area. So in this case, generally the values will be given to you seed rate in wet method of nursery. So for 1 hectare transplanting, these are very general recommendations. Fine seeded varieties, if variety is very fine seeded, then seed rate is 20 to 25 kg per hectare. Means this is the range of the seed that will be required to raise the seedlings, and those seedlings will be enough for 1 hectare area. So this 20-25 kg seed per hectare means for 1 hectare main field, the requirement of the seedling for 1 hectare field, main field. So this 20-25 is not for getting nursery in 1 hectare area. It is getting the seedlings for 1 hectare area. Then medium seeded varieties 25 to 30 kg per hectare seed requirement of nursery. Board seeded variety 30 to 35 kg. So you see, as the size of the seed or weight of the seed is increasing, so is the seed of the seed rate increases. Finer the variety, less is the seed rate. Coarser or bolder is the variety, high is the seed rate. because the 1000 seed weight is also high for bold seeded variety. So in 1 kg seed, you will have less number of seed of bold seeded variety than fine seeded variety. In 1 kg seed of fine seeded variety, you will have more number of seed than medium seed varieties. That is why you have different seed rate. So higher the seed rate, more area under nursery is required. The another point is that higher the seed rate means if you have 20 to 25 kg seed rate, the nursery area will be comparatively less than the bold seeded variety 30 to 35 kg per hectare on an average. Then seed rate or nursery area would also vary with that how much seed rate and nursery area will also vary with variety, test weight. You have seen the test weight of the variety and plant spacing. Suppose you are having narrow spacing, 20 by 10, then you will need more seed than if you are having wide spacing, 25 by 25. So 25 by 25 spacing will require less seed rate for nursery than the narrow spacing. It's very clear. And also a number of hills per square meter. It depends upon plant spacing and number of seedlings to be transplanted per hill. In one place, if you are planting one seedling, then seed rate will be less. If you are planting two seedling in one place, then seed rate will be doubled because in place of one, you are getting two seedling. If it is three seedling, then you will triple the seed rate. So the number of seedlings you are planting, they will also decide the seed rate of rice. That seed germination and survival of seedling. What is the germination percentage of the seed? If germination percent is 50% in one case, in another case it is 100%, then you will need double seed in case you have just 50% germination. So more the germination, less is the seed requirement. And survival of the seedling. Suppose you have transplanted some seedlings into the main field. After transplanting, within next 10 days, some seedlings are going to die, and those seedlings are to be replaced by fresh seedlings which are there in the nursery. So you need to keep certain quantity of seedlings extra so that gaps are filled by those seedlings. So for gap filling, you need to account in the seed rate. So you need to take some extra seedling for gap filling also. So these three important factors will affect the seed rate and nursery area to be used. Now calculation of seed rate. So suppose what is the area per hectare? Area per hectare you are going to transplant is 10,000 meter square, 100 meter by 100 meter. Every one of you know about it that 1 hectare is equal to 10,000 meter square. Then how many hills per hectare? Hills you understand when we do the transplanting, it is at the cross section of row and intra-row. So where you actually plant the seedling into the soil, that makes your hill. It looks like a hill. So what is the area? How many hills per hectare? So it depends upon spacing. Now it is 20 by 20 centimeter spacing. Means at this 20 you will have a one hill. At another 20 you will have another hill. So the 20 may be the distance between the rows, and next 20 will be the distance between the plants within the rows. So if your spacing is 20 by 20, then you need to calculate the number of hills. Hills are the places where transplanting is done. So here you get 10,000 meter square divided by plant spacing. Then you can get number of hills in 1 hectare area. So plant spacing is 20 centimeter, convert to meter, it is 0.2 into 0.2 meter square. So 10,000 divided by 0.04, then you get 250,000 hills per hectare. So these many hills are required in 1 hectare area. So suppose your germination percent is 100, germination percent is 100%, suppose there is no seedling mortality, there is no need to go for gap filling, etc. And you need one seedling at one place. So you will require just 250,000 seeds only. So many seeds will be required. 250,000 seeds will be required. So that means if I know the 1,000 seed weight, if I know the 1,000 seed weight, then I can calculate the seed requirement, that how much seed will be required, assuming that one seed will give you one seedling. So based upon 1,000 seed weight, I can calculate the seed requirement. If there are two seedling, I can multiply that seed requirement by 2. If there are 3 seedling, I can multiply by 3. So now, how many seedlings per hectare? So suppose this is very hypothetical example. In this, you are taking 4 seedlings per hill. Normally, 1 to 2 seedlings are planted, but here we have taken 4 seedlings per hill. In one place, you will transplant 4 seedlings. So this 250,000 will be multiplied by 4. So that many seedlings will be required. Now you can see this 250,000 multiplied by 4, it comes out to be 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs or 1 million. It is 10 lakh or 1 million. So it is 1 million seed. 1 million seed is required. How many seeds you need per hectare? So 1 million seed. Now you need to adjust or accommodate the germination percentage, because you will never get 100% germination. You may get 80%, 85%, or 70%, 75% germination. So what is the weight of the 1,000 seed? So suppose the weight of the 1,000 seed is in the range of 20 to 30 gram. This is the range. So taking the mean value as 25. Suppose in my case, the mean 1,000 weight is 25 gram. Means 25 gram of paddy seed will contain 1,000 grains. So I can multiply this number of seeds with the 25. So I will get so many grams of the seed required. And then I can convert it to kilogram and so on. Now see how much seed you need to plant 1 hectare. So it is 1 million divided by 1,000. So this was in gram, and you can convert it into kilogram. So it comes out, incidentally, it comes out to be 25 kg. 25 kg is the seed requirement for nursery that can plant 1 hectare area. And what is the germination for rice seed? Normally it is 50 to 90%, and take the mean value as 70% germination. If my seed germination is 70%, then how much extra seed I need? So if germination is 70%, how much seed you need per hectare? Then 25 divided by 0.7 means 70%, it has come down. I think you know you need to overestimate it. So 25 divided by 0.7. So it comes out to be 36 kilogram. So now you need 36 kilogram seed instead of 25 kilogram, because your germination was just 70%. Now another, you need to overestimate the seed. What percentage of seedlings survive in wet bed nursery? Some may die. Some may die in the nursery, or some may die in the field. So range is 50 to 90%. This is survival rate. What percent of seeds survive in wet bed nursery? 50 to 90% is the survival rate, and take the mean value at 70%. Finally, how much seed you need for wet bed nursery to plant 1 hectare? So seed rate will be 25 divided by 0.7 into 0.7. This 70% and 70%. So now your seed rate is 51 kg per hectare. So this is how you can calculate the seed rate for rice nursery. So do you have any question on this? Is it clear, or if you have any doubt, you can ask. You don't want to ask?
No, sir.
Okay, we
No,
go
sir.
to next. Okay, we go to next. Just you read this slide, please. So estimation of crop yield on the basis of yield attributes. So I think yield attributes are very, very important. And many times scientists or students, they record the data on yield attributes. Yield So, but however, their proportionate contribution may be different. In pulses, yield attributing factors may be number of pods per plant, number of seed in pod, seed weight, something like that. Similarly, in oil seeds like rapeseed mustard, you can have siliqua number per plant, seeds in siliqua, 1,000 seed weight like that. In rice or cereals, particularly, I refer to rice. In rice, you have panicle number per meter square, spikelet number per panicle, and 1,000 seed weight are the important yield attributes, and also your fertility percentage. So yield is reported as rough rice. I discussed it at 14% moisture. For cereal grains like rice, wheat, maize, we measure the yield or grain yield at 14% moisture. Internationally, it is 14% moisture, except in few countries like Japan and Korea, where it is expressed as brown rice or sometimes Polish rice. However, in India, it is expressed as milled rice. So conversion factor of 1.25 from brown rice yield to rough rice yield, and conversion factor of 1.49 or 1.5 to milled rice yield to the rough rice yield. This is already told to you. Now, harvest index. Harvest index is economic yield divided by biological yield. Economic yield may be your grain yield, biological yield is grain yield plus straw yield. So you got three parameters: harvest index, economic yield, and biological yield. If you know any two, you can calculate the third one. Simple calculation. So like grain yield is equal to harvest index into dry weight. The total dry weight of a good rice crop is around 70 to 20 tons per hectare, depending on variety, management, and environment. Means this is the biomass yield, including straw plus grain. So that can be 10 to 20 tons per hectare, but average is about 12 or 13 tons per hectare. However, it depends upon variety. Variety which are tall, which are prolific tilting variety, you will have more biomass than the short height or short statured variety. Good management will give you good biomass. Good environment will give you good biomass. Bad environment, maybe drought condition, maybe more insect pest and disease incidence. Harvest index in general average is 0.3%, 30%. You can sometimes people write zero point 0.3. 0.3 means 30% harvest index for traditional tall varieties and 0.5% for improved short duration variety or high yielding variety have 50% harvest index, means half weight of the total biomass is grain and half weight is your straw. And the usually grain yield is 3 to 10 tons per hectare for high yielding varieties. The grain straw ratio similar to the harvest index and extensively used in the past is a ratio of dry grain yield to the dry straw weight. So you can have some parameters like this. The grain straw ratio similar to the harvest index and used in the past is a ratio of dry grain yield to the straw. The grain straw ratio of rice crops range from about 0.5 for traditional tall varieties to about 1 for improved short duration variety. So means for them it is half, for high yielding variety it is equal amount of grain and equal amount of straw if your harvest index is 50%. Now, what are the yield components or yield attributes in rice? Panicles per meter square, panicle length, panicle weight, number of spikelets per panicle, spikelets fertility means fertile percentage of spikelet, or this is known as field grains, 1000 grain weight. So these are the important yield components or yield attributes of the rice. So here in the calculation, this panicle weight is not used. Panicle weight is irrelevant for the calculation of the yield component. For the calculation of yield is panicle per meter square, number of spikelet fertility, and 1000 grain weight. Panicle weight and panicle length is never used in the calculation of yield or estimating the yield of the rice. Panicle length, panicle weight is not used. All other four are used. Panicles per meter square, number of spikelet per panicle, spikelet fertility, and 1000 grain weight. Now you see these yield components. In this case, suppose on the left you have grain yield after sowing, and then what are the yield components that are multiplied to receive the grain yield? So you see, number one is panicles per unit area per meter square into spikelets per panicle. How many spikelets are there? And out of which there may be two kind of spikelets. One are filled spikelet and other are unfilled spikelet. So filled spikelet will give you grain, and unfilled spikelet will give you unfilled grain, unfilled grains. One is filled grain, other is unfilled grain. So fertility percentage is multiplied, and then weight of a single grain. This fertility percentage means, suppose on an average in one panicle of rice there are 100 spikelets. So out of which only 90 spikelets have filled grains, then the fertility percent is 90%. Or you can say sterility percent is 10%. 10% are sterile, they do not have seed. So fertility of the spikelet is very important. And fertility of spikelet, if you remember, it is mainly controlled by the temperature existing at that time. Particularly pollination, which is taking just 45 minutes. So during that period, if some adverse temperature is there, so many spikelets will remain empty spikelets. So fertility of spikelet is important. Then weight of a single grain means many times you can say 1000 seed weight or single grain. If you write the weight of 1000 seeds, then you have to divide it by 1000 so that you can get weight of the single seed. And now you can see the calculations. And also here the management is important. You can see this practical is shown to you to learn some management also. So in this case, sowing time or planting time will affect the yield attributes. All the yield attributes will be affected by sowing time. If it is not right time of sowing, it is adverse time of sowing, then all the yield attributes will be affected. Then tillering. Normally you want certain fixed amount of panicles per meter square. In rice, on an average, there should be 250 to 300 panicles per meter square on an average. So too low, say they are just 100 or they are 500. There are too many panicles. Then in either case, you will get less yield. So grow the crop in such a way that you are able to achieve 250 to 300 panicles per meter square. Then comes your spikelet per panicle. Whatever spikelets are produced by a variety, on an average, it is genetically controlled. Plant breeding suggests us that number of spikelet is mostly controlled by genetics of the variety. Some variety may have 80 spikelet, some variety may have 120, some may have 130 spikelets. So this is primarily genetically controlled character. But the filling of the spikelet, the fertility of the spikelet will mainly affected by the environmental factor, maybe climatic factor or soil factor. They will affect the fertility of spikelets like temperature, rainfall. Suppose pollination is happening today in the morning at 10 o'clock and there is rainfall and you know your pollen grains have opened, your flowers have opened, the anthesis has occurred, At the time of anthesis, if there is any rainfall, this rainfall will wash down all the anthers, all the pollen grains will be washed down, and your panicle will remain empty. So this climatic factor like rainfall or temperature, they affect fertility of the panicle. And also the soil characteristics means at this particular time, there should not be any shortage of moisture. A small stress of water will affect the pollination or the spikelet fertility. So at that time, you need to have your at least 1 to 2 centimeter water, standing water in the soil. So fertility of spikelet is important. And then weight of a single grain. Again, plant breeders say that weight of the single grain is mostly genetically controlled character, weight of the one. That is why many times you have varieties. In variety, people write that this variety have basmati variety have 20,000 seed weight, and high yielding variety, coarse variety have 32 grams 1000 seed weight. So many times 1000 seed weight is given variety wise. So it is mostly a genetically controlled character. So weight of a single grain. Now you see how to, this is just hypothetical example, you can see it critically. Calculate the number of hills and panicles per square meter, assuming plant spacing as 25 into 25 centimeter and number of panicles per hill as 20. Means you are given the spacing that is 25 by 25, and at one hill you will have 20 panicles. 20 panicles means year bearing or year bearing tillers. So solution is area per hill. Area per hill is 25 into 25. Means you can convert it into square meter. It will be 0.0625 square meter. Then in number of hills, hills means the places where transplanting is done. Seedlings are transplanted. So number of hills per meter square. You remember this formula. Area is 1 meter square divided by spacing. So 1 divided by 0.0625, you get 16 hills. 16 hills in 1 meter square. And you know how many seedlings or how many panicles are there? How many panicles in one hill? So there were 16 hills, and each hill was having 20 panicles. So 20 by 16, you get 320. So 320 are the panicles per square meter. If number of panicles per square meter is less than 250, something is wrong with the method of farming. The rice variety or the soil, something is wrong here. Also check the spacing and fertilizer application. Means at least 250 panicles should be there. Every stage of growth contributes to grain yield. Good management is necessary at all stages, and environmental factors affect every stage. Now you see how the yield can be worked out. You know how to calculate the panicles or per meter square. Now grain yield. Grain yield is obtained by multiplying panicles number per meter square. You can calculate as I have shown you in the last slide, and it is multiplied by spikelet number per panicle, how many spikelets were there, into percentage filled spikelet into 1000 grain weight, and multiplied by the factor 10 to the power minus 5. And finally, you can get, if you multiply panicle number per meter square by spikelet number per panicle, then you get total spikelets number per meter square into percentage filled spikelets into 1000 grain weight, and finally all these are multiplied by 10 to the power minus 7. So 10 to the power minus 7 is conversion factor based upon for this calculation. For example, you are reporting the yield in tons per hectare, but your data are in percentage, are in grams per meter square, something like that. So to convert them to tons per hectare, you need to multiply by the factor 10 to the power minus 7. You need to remember it, or otherwise if you do not remember it, you can do calculation by conversion. For example, kg per meter square should be, gram per meter square should be equivalent to uh, kg No, tons. Oh, sorry. I think it is gram per meter square should be equivalent to tons per hectare. So some relationship is there. So there is some confusion in the terminology. Forget this. Now, this is example you need to do in your home. You can repeat this. Please try to solve this problem and from the following values of the yield components, compute the grain yield of rice. Number of panicles per meter square is given 375. Spikelet number per panicle are 100. Total number of spikelet per meter square 375 multiplied by 100. You get 37,500 as total number of spikelets. Filled spikelets are 85. So that means you can multiply it by 85 and divide by 100. Then you will get the filled spikelets or filled grains. And then 1000 grain weight is given is 29 gram. This is another example that is also for your homework. You can try this example. The data is given. And see this table, this is very important table, the modal yield component of IR8 in the cloudy wet season and in the sunny dry season. This, friends, IR8 was the fantastic variety developed by International Rice Research Institute. They have bred Indica, this was the cross between Indica and Japonica varieties, and it was known as miracle rice. Miracle rice, it was known because it was the first improved variety of rice, high-yielding variety of rice, and it was a cross between pita. Pita was some tropical rice, pita and Dijioujen, something like that. Dijioujen was Japonica rice, and they come out with IR8. And believe me, this IR8 yielded 10 tons of per hectare, 10 to 12 tons of per hectare in 1967, 68, something like that. So in 60s, this IR8 variety resulted in 10 to 12 tons of yield. Now, very rare, there are not quite common variety these days that can give you yield of 10 tons or 12 tons per hectare in India. But that time, this variety was miracle rice, it yielded. Now you see the modal yield component of IR8 in the cloudy wet season. Vipin, I seek your attention in the cloudy wet season and in the sunny dry season. So there are two seasons. One is wet season, other is dry season. First component is panicle number per meter square. So Vipin, you see carefully, the panicle number was affected by the light, cloudy wet season. Cloudy wet season means the intensity of light will be less and intensity of the light is less. Therefore, in wet season, variety is same, but you are getting only 250 panicles per meter square. However, in dry season, when there is no rainfall, no cloud, you get 375 panicles per meter square. Then spikelet number is same, 100 and 100 in both the seasons. And the total number of spikelets per meter square were more in dry season because there may be more better development of spikelets under dry season in this case. Filled spikelet is almost same, 85%, and 1000 grain weight same, 29. And expected grain yield was 6 ton in dry wet season and 9 ton in dry season. So main difference was in panicle number per meter square. Now, this was the main yield component. So in rice, you can remember the topmost yield component is panicle number per meter square. Number two component is spikelets per meter square, you can say, or spikelet per panicle. And if you want to merge panicle number per meter square and spikelets per spike or per panicle, then you can have only one total number of spikelets per meter square because it is governed by panicle number as well as spikelet number per panicle. So you can see in dry season you get more yield, in wet season you get less yield in this example. Now, there may be some questions in your entrance examination here and there in competitive exam. And this time, last time I have shown you how to calculate the grain yield of rice based upon yield attributes. Now, if I give you grain yield, that this much is the targeted yield, grain yield, and you need to calculate the panicle number per meter square required. However, other parameters are given. So the parameters you are seeing here in the see the example. Suppose you target 4 tons of 4 tons per hectare or 400 gram per square meter. So here gram per square meter is equivalent to tons per hectare. You can see. So 4 tons per hectare or 400 grams per square meter. Characteristics of the variety. Number of panicles per hill is 14. If at one hill you have 14 tillers or 14 panicles. Spikelets per panicle is 100. Fertility percentage is 83.3% and weight of a single grain 0.025. So here instead of 1000 grain weight, the one grain's weight is given. So use this formula to determine the number of panicles per square meter needed to achieve the target. So see yield in grams per square meter. It is given. You are not asked to calculate it. And then number 2 is panicles per meter square multiplied by panicle per spikelets per panicle into percentage filled spikelet into weight of a single grain in grams. So now you can put 400 grams. Panicles per square meter is not known to us, and percentage, and then spikelet per panicle is 100. Percentage filled spikelet 83.3 by 100 and 0.025 is the weight. By putting all these values, now you can calculate the unknown parameter. Unknown parameter is panicle per square meters. So panicle number can be calculated 400 divided by the right side value. And if you compute it, I think see this very simple mathematical calculation. If you do it, you find the answer 192. So 192 is the answer. Similarly, if one asks you spikelet per panicle and other parameters are given, you can do it. Or if somebody is asking you percentage filled spikelet and other parameters are given, you can do it. So this is how you can calculate the different yield attributes if yield is given to you. And now the third, any question on this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
It's fine, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Now you see the third part of this lecture of practical calculation of grain yield in efficiency index. Grain yield efficiency index. It may be new term to you. It was basically proposed by Fagheria and co-workers in 1988. He was working on phosphorus and he developed this index to find out the phosphorus use efficient genotypes. Phosphorus use efficient genotypes. But same formula, same index can be used to find out the nitrogen use efficient genotype. I just want to expose to you about this subject, that why we need grain yield efficiency index. And actually what happens in cereal crops, definitely cereal crops are the most important crops in the world. And for among all the plant nutrients, nitrogen is the most important nutrient. You are aware of it. Nitrogen contributes handsomely to the production of cereal crops. So requirement of nitrogen is very high for cereal crops, rice, wheat, maize, etc. So actually people wanted to know certain genotypes, certain varieties, certain plant types that can give you higher yields under nitrogen deficiency or phosphorus deficiency. So a cultivar or a variety or a plant which can give you more yield under nutrient deficiency condition will be nutrient nutrient use efficient genotype. So that is how you can define nutrient use genotype. Particularly in case of nitrogen, people have very lot of controversy that which genotype to be called as nitrogen use efficient. Is it the genotype which is having more leafy area index will be considered as nitrogen use efficient? Will it be the chlorophyll content? Will it be the nitrogen content in the leaf? Will it be the uptake of the nutrient, uptake of the nitrogen? A genotype which is removing more nitrogen, having higher concentration in leaf, will be nutrient or nitrogen use efficient. So people have not settled. People have not settled this issue, that which genotype or what should be the criterion to judge the nitrogen use efficient genotype. So people have put forward their own ideas, own theories, and this is one of them, which also says that if we can calculate the grain yield efficiency index, if we can calculate this index, based upon this index, we can group the rice genotypes into efficient or inefficient user of nitrogen. Nitrogen use efficient or nitrogen use inefficient genotypes can be categorized based upon grain yield efficiency index. So this is background in a small, very brief. You can understand grain yield efficiency index. Now these days you might be knowing subject of biofortification, zinc enriched varieties or varieties which contain more zinc or zinc use efficient genotypes. Means genotypes which can do better under zinc starved conditions where there is zinc stress in the soil. So those genotypes are zinc use efficient genotypes. Similarly, phosphorus use efficient genotypes. So there may be nutrient specific genotypes which are efficient for that particular nutrient. Now you see how grain yield efficiency index can be worked out. So here it is example of nitrogen, but you can calculate the same index for phosphorus separately, for potassium, for any nutrient. You can calculate this grain yield efficiency index. Easily you can calculate. Now suppose you have conducted a field experiment, and in this field experiment you have used 5 genotypes or 6 genotypes or 10 genotypes, and then you have used 4 levels of nitrogen, 0, 30, 60, 90. So you have used 4 levels of nitrogen and you have used 10 genotypes. Then you can work out this index. For example, grain yield of a genotype at low nitrogen level. Your level was 0, 30, 60, 90. So your low level is 30 and your high level is 90. The last level is 90. So 90 is the highest level and 30 is the lowest level. So in this case, grain yield of a genotype at low nitrogen level. What was the yield of a V1, V2, V3? You can have genotype. What was the grain yield of that genotype at low nitrogen level divided by average grain yield of all genotypes at low nitrogen level. So this is divided, and then grain yield multiplied by grain yield of a genotype at high nitrogen level. So you will use the same genotype for both the numerators, and for denominator you will use all genotypes, average grain yield of all genotypes including the one which is on the numerator. So grain yield of genotype at high N level divided by average grain yield of all genotypes at high nitrogen level. So now you will work out, you will do some calculation, and based upon this, genotypes having grain yield efficiency index values more than 1 can be classified as efficient nitrogen user. Efficient nitrogen user. Genotypes having grain yield efficiency index values between 0.5 and 1 can be classified as moderately efficient end user. Moderately efficient end user, and genotypes with less than 0.5 can be classified as inefficient end user. And same yardstick is applicable to other nutrients, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, whatever you use. So this is good. This is good in the sense that a genotype will be called efficient only when it is doing better under both situations, at low N level as well as at high N level. Then that kind of genotypes will be the more nutrient use efficient, according to him. Now you can have this, these are the genotypes on x-axis. On y-axis you can plot the grain yield efficiency index. So for every variety you get different yield, different grain yield efficiency index. So in this case for Taraudi Basmati you have 0.68, Pusa Basmati 1121, 0.87 and so on. So in this case, you can see the 3 or 4 varieties are having more than 4, more than 1. So varieties which are having more than 1 are nitrogen use efficient, and variety which are not having like 0.68, so it is not nitrogen use efficient. So this completes the lecture, and Vipin, you can do your job by stopping the recording, please.